The intention of this podcast is to help you come off automatic, uncover, and discover what's truly possible for you. We're here to connect with guests whose purpose it is to share their experience, insight, and knowledge to inspire and inform. From wisdom keepers to healers to leadership experts, coaches, and authors from around the globe, we will bring you cutting edge information and tools so that you can wake up, take charge, and live your healthiest and most powerfully alive lives. Today's guest is Greg Cicciu. In addition to acupuncture, he has a background in hypnotherapy and cognitive coaching or change coaching, as well as auricular therapy. So we're going to break that all down and pick it all apart and find out what his philosophy is in helping you live your most alive lives. He's also written 2 books on pulse diagnosis. Welcome, Greg.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm really glad to be here. It's a pleasure to be in your presence.
Oh, thank you. You as well. I always like to ask how people, usually there's a story. Usually there's something that somebody has overcome that has led them to a healing journey, to become a healer, basically. Do you have that in your life?
No, I was pretty healthy. I would say I had some chiropractic treatments in my early 20s, which I'm blessed to have had that exposure. And the chiropractor at the time, he said he had a midlife change of careers and was telling me that he went back to school to be a chiropractor in his 40s. And I was in my 20s and I thought, I'm doing what I'm doing. And I wanted to be a martial artist. That was kind of my motivator. I was going to go train full time, and that didn't work out. And I went to this retreat that was a martial arts retreat in Vermont, and they had a Buddhist teacher there who was world renowned from New York. And then they had this world class pulse diagnosis teacher who was also the host of the whole retreat. He had great teachers and just a few students. We had a week of just this immersion with all these different people, which was great. And Sung, the host, is the head of his lineage in pulse diagnosis. And his students that were there for the martial arts were also his acupuncture and pulse diagnosis students. And I'd never had acupuncture. He could feel your pulse and he could tell you when you've had a surgery in your last 15 years, 20 years or something like that, or if you've had organs removed. He could tell you all this stuff. And that seems like a lot of hoopla to me. Nobody can do that. That's all TV stuff. But apparently he could and can. And really got me thinking about my life. I moved to Florida with the idea maybe I would go to acupuncture school. This is pre-internet, so I didn't have the wherewithal to research other acupuncture training programs. As soon as I moved there in July, a friend of mine was like, "Oh, did you know there's an acupuncture school here in Jacksonville?" So I went down to the school for an open house, and 2 months later, I was in acupuncture school. Finished acupuncture school in a second school that I went to down in St. Petersburg, Florida. And then I met my wife there. She's an acupuncturist as well. So we moved to Colorado. When we moved to Colorado, that guy that I originally met back in Vermont, Sung, his number one student was teaching at the acupuncture school here in Denver. And I was working there as an assistant teacher. And I met him and just enamored by his pulse taking abilities. So I apprenticed with him for a few years while he was still alive. And it really just gave me a great immersion, both in school when we were teaching and separately when he would do workshops. And I kind of was one of the people that picked up his torch to really immerse myself, and which was just awesome. And that Buddhist teacher that I met at that retreat back in 1991, so that was a pivotal time. I was yearning, I guess, for a change, a focus, and the Buddhist teacher, which we studied with for 10 years. It's not for everybody, but it just wasn't aligned with who we are, you know?
Let me ask you a few questions then. Okay.
Good, you gotta
Number
rein me
one,
in.
Zen Buddhist. My first thought is a lot of stillness. Okay. Meditation. And is that something that you grew up with, or is that something you became good at with practice?
It's always about practice. I don't think anybody is born with stillness. I think it's a cultivated experience to come back to. And that's the idea, is that we all have it within us. It's just a matter of how do we peel those layers of the onion back so we can experience it in this moment, in the present.
Is it considered a religion, or is it's just a
I'm always confused about that with Buddhism. I don't know that Buddhism is not considered a religion, but I don't think people think of it as a religion because it's
more of a lifestyle?
It's definitely a lifestyle. How do you unravel the compassion for yourself? And as that happens, and I've heard many people talk about this, about how when they've had a moment for themselves, all of a sudden they were like, whoa, wait a second. And it bleeds over to other people because it's happened for anybody that has had the pursuit.
I've had acupuncture, so I know what it is.
Yeah.
I know what it looks like. I know what it feels like. I
Yeah.
believe it's been around 5 or 6 thousand years, correct?
Yeah. Just a little bit of time.
Even, yeah. So there must be something positive and worthy about it. Most people, if they have not experienced it or have not studied it or what have you, think of it as a little woo-woo. So what I want you to do is break it down into a practical sense. So what are the meridians? What do you mean by
Yeah.
pulse diagnosis? How come he's looking at my tongue? I mean, tell me what
Yeah, yeah, no,
acupuncture.
those are great questions. A lot of people do wrestle with what is acupuncture? You put a needle in my body, or multiple needles generally, and my body's going to feel better either immediately or over a period of time as you build up momentum with the treatments. Your body is connected to every other part of the body. And through hundreds and thousands of years, people have understood that the body is connected in certain ways. And modern science has kind of caught up. So people talk about fascia, which is different densities of tissue in your body. This is Western science. But there's seams to those fascia. So your bicep has fascia in it and it connects to your forearm. So you can go like this. As it connects there, that means that it's connecting to another part of your body. And that creates a seam. At those seams, there are acupuncture points, essentially. And they've known well before Western modern science has come along. So they mapped out acupuncture meridians, pathways, roads, streets, whatever you want to call them, that traverse the body, that are accessible through the surface, whether you touch them with your finger or with acupuncture needles, which are usually stainless steel disposable needles, but I've used gold needles and silver needles, and they have their applications as well. But that stimulation of those points encourages the body to seek out balance, to create homeostasis in the body. And not just for physical pain, which acupuncture is really good at helping with physical pain, but it helps with emotional pains, it helps with fertility, it helps with lots of different things. Anything that's non-surgical, for the most part, acupuncture, it's helpful for. It may not help everything 100%, but it's definitely a tool to have in your toolbox to help with lots of medical needs. And then with pulse diagnosis, to me, it just continues to unravel and continues to be more and more fascinating because the blood and the fluids in the body, again, traverse the whole body. It takes about 1 minute for your blood to make one revolution in your body. And as it does, it connects and touches every place as it goes. Yeah, all the places it goes. And as it does, it picks up information from everywhere that it has been.
Wow.
That information then traverses past your fingers when you're feeling the pulse, practice, and education. You understand what those sensations that are coming by in the blood mean for that person that you're palpating it.
That's probably the best explanation I've ever heard.
Yeah.
To understand the fascia, I was told by a yoga teacher that the fascia is like when you peel an orange, it has that white tissue around it. That's like the fascia, and it connects. So is something happening in the foot, it's also happening somewhere else in the body.
If you put a pebble in your shoe and walk on it, sure, your brain says, ow, that's not comfortable, but the rest of your body receives a message as
Mhm.
that pain signal and all the other things that go by there. And so it affects your whole body.
Let's say somebody's got chronic pain in their lower back.
Yeah.
Do you connect an emotional piece to that? How do you approach that?
I don't blanketly say that just because someone has low back pain that, oh, this is because it's related to the kidneys, because the kidneys are the lowest organs in that area that typically would manifest as back pain. When I do my intake and I'm conversing with a new patient or follow-up patients, I ask them how they're doing. They tell me what's going on. They say they have low back pain. I feel their pulse. And the pulse really, for me, confirms or adds to what they say is going on. So if
Mhm.
they say they have back pain and they didn't elaborate for whatever the reason, they didn't think of it, they don't want to, they don't think it's necessary, whatever the reason, when I feel their pulse, it paints the whole picture for me. That way, when I go to treat them and I say, oh, your low back's bothering you today, I can treat them because I find all the information in the pulse that's going to help them heal. So it may be because of fear, the low back pain, maybe because of fear, or it could just because they lifted something, and they threw the back out, or lots of other reasons.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, the truth is, my podcasts take on a life of their own. So I had an idea of what I wanted to start with, but now I'm like, boy, this guy knows what he's doing. So, two things. How would you treat each of these? First one is smoking. How would you approach a patient that way?
First off, with any addiction, the person has to have some carrot juice that's dripping into their system to say, I want something to be different. They have to have some internal, even if they haven't 100% matured with that idea, they have to have some kind of motivation to be different. The acupuncture can definitely help with detoxing the cravings, all those physical pieces of a smoking detoxification. So that way, when they get through those first 48 hours or so, they're not becoming unraveled and taking it out on any loved one that happens to be close to them. So that's one piece of the puzzle. The other piece is the mind, of course. And through my change coaching and hypnosis training and neuro-linguistic programming and things like that, I can then help them with some mental exercises is how I convey it. Then we can help them with different perspectives on whatever triggers they may have, internal chatter that's going on in their mind, getting that little voice that doesn't serve them anymore off their shoulder. I feel like the trainings that I've had are really good about quieting that voice and allowing you to become clear with, oh, here's that voice again. So that way you can make appropriate choices when the voice comes again, because it will, but you just want to be able to identify it as not your voice.
Got it.
Those tools that I have for the mental coaching and such really help with those types of things.
Okay. So could you just give us a quick blurb on neuro-linguistic programming?
So neuro-linguistic programming, the short of it is that most of what goes on in our bodies is unconscious.
Yeah.
So I just put a Band-Aid on today because I had a little split in my finger. So the little split causes me physical pain and could aggravate me if I go to do something with that finger. But once I put the Band-Aid on, I don't have to think about the healing any longer. The neuro-linguistic programming takes conversation and allows the unconscious mind, which is doing the healing in my finger in this particular case, to do what it's supposed to do without me having to like, oh my gosh, I hope the right cell gets to that piece of the finger, right? And it's allowing the brain to open up to do that as well. And with emotional traumas, PTSD, and things like that, the conscious mind isn't keeping track of every moment of every day, all the things that are going to bother me in the future or that have bothered me in the past. It's the unconscious mind that does that. So with the neuro-linguistic programming, hypnosis, change coaching, and that type of thing, it's all jumbled together for me. We have conversations and do mental exercises to allow that unconscious mind to say that situation may have been horrible in the past, but it's not in this particular moment. And let's get a different perspective on this particular moment without trying to convince the brain to do it.
I know Silva and Tony Robbins, for example, they both use the neuro-linguistic programming. It's incredibly powerful. So you said that they're all put together with you. Could you explain change coaching? Because that term I've never heard.
Again, it's probably one of my coined things. It's combining the hypnosis, it's combining the neuro-linguistic programming, it's combining other sources of things that I've received. I listen to other podcast books and things like that, and I'm like, it's all just change coaching, it's change work. I'm not going to say I'm certified in NLP, the neuro-linguistic programming, but I've been trained in different aspects of it and try to suss out the gems that are working for me and my clients. Yeah.
Do you talk about the payoffs for smoking and not smoking? Do you go into
Payoffs?
that? Yeah. Have a payoff for continuing to smoke. They get the nicotine, they get the release with the chemicals, but then there's a payoff for quitting too. So how do you get that to leverage?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the gems that I've gotten with one of my teachings is for me, when I'm doing my coaching work, is not to fish in other people's ponds.
More on that, please.
So one of the benefits going to be if Sally comes to me and Sally wants to quit smoking, why do you want to quit smoking? It's going to be an individual solution in the future for her. It's going to be meaningful to her because maybe she doesn't like the smell. Maybe her family doesn't like the smell. Maybe she wants to save money at $11 a pack now for cigarettes. It's crazy. Maybe she wants to take some pressure off because she thinks if I keep smoking, I'm going to damage my lungs. It's whatever her thing is. I'm not going
Right.
to fish in her pond and be like, here's what you want to
Understood.
do.
Gotcha.
Again, I'm going to try to suss out of her what it is, the reason, the motivation that she feels that she wants to do the change for. And that's usually the surface. Like she wants to do it because she doesn't want her grandkids to see her smoking or whatever the case may be. But through reflection and allowing her to reflect without that inner child's voice sitting on her shoulder, she's not good enough, not worthy, and all those kinds of things. But as those start to quiet down, it'll become more important to her and more clear to her as to her true motivation.
Do you find that self-sabotage is a recurring theme in these kinds of cases?
I think probably all humans, and I make it up that it's all humans, but I would venture to say that most all humans have a little inner voice in their system that, for whatever the reason, societally, environmentally, epigenetically, family, all that kind of stuff, has come about to say things that really don't serve you anymore.
So the second category I wanted to ask you about is weight loss. That's a big
Mhm.
one in this country.
Yeah.
How do you approach that one?
I had a lady come see me, and she probably is in her 60s now or so, and she wanted to lose weight. She was probably 30 or 40 pounds overweight or so, and she definitely had lots of little voices sitting on her shoulder. So
Mhm.
I'm not necessarily going to do in general, here's my weight loss program. Everybody comes in and I just say this. And there's people out there that are successful at do that. That's great. That's not my thing. I'm working
Mhm.
more specific to the individual clients.
Yeah.
So we did some work. She had pica. So she was a crayon eater.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, people that have pica, Pica,
They
they eat
eat
things that you wouldn't think are edible, you know?
coins. Yeah.
And she would, but she's like, oh, I just like it. Okay. And I got to put my little voice away, right? Because it's not going to be good for her if I'm like, that's not good for you, and yada, yada, yada. I could get on my horse, but it's just not helpful. So really, we just work on quieting that voice for her. And she had traumas, as many people do in their lives. And we can do that non-content based, which is great because I'm not a therapist, I'm not a
Mhm.
psychiatrist or psychologist. So I don't know how to deal with certain things if people share it with me. I'm curious as a human, but it's not part of the solution that I would utilize for them. So I do a lot of non-content based. You can think about it, and I'll ask you questions that you may think are relevant or maybe not relevant, but I'm trying to get resources from you. And so with the weight loss, that's what I was doing with her, is helping her find her inner resources while quieting those voices that aren't helpful. And then over the course of the next 2 years or so, without really putting a lot of effort into, I got to exercise, I got to eat 100%, all this kind of stuff, it's a lot more just lifestyle changes that came about organically because all of a sudden she's aligned with who she's got this inner congruence. And she,
Yes.
wow, I know that I'm congruent with my inner self.
So how did you add acupuncture to that plan as well? How would that help a person in that
The
regard,
acupuncture is great because then she's feeling better,
right?
physically feeling better. So feeling the pulses still, and then treating her based on some other symptoms that she may have. And as
Mhm.
she starts to heal as a whole body, a whole being, not just a body, the body makes it sound so physical, and we're not just physical, we're definitely part of something bigger, in my opinion. Yeah. So then as that unravels, it's amazing. And the needles, in the classic text, there's a classic text that we read in school. It was written, I think, 5,000 years ago. It might have been 2,500. It's been a while. But one of the things that it says in there is that the first thing that the needle touches when the healer is touching the body with the needle, what do you think they said?
Their energy field.
Yeah, their soul. So that's
Wow.
pretty amazing. So
Yeah.
if you think of this little antenna going into your soul to align you with the forces of the universe, to have you be congruent with who you are and your piece of the puzzle in the big universe, That's pretty freaking amazing.
That is powerful, very
And over and
powerful.
over again, it's doing that, right?
Yes.
So as we were growing up as kids, we had TVs, we had to go and turn the dial and just get it just right and the rabbit ears and that kind of stuff. But now we're putting needles in that's doing that to your body every time I see you.
Wow.
Now you're getting tuned into who you are.
This is so much deeper than being poked by a needle. So let me ask you this too. Is it one of the things that you can do with acupuncture? Can you help heal a gut biome, the stomach itself?
Some folks probably focus on that. That's
Mhm.
not my repertoire as far as herbs and specific supplements. I have a couple of general things, but that's not my niche. I help a lot of folks with physical pains, with emotional issues, with fertility, things like that. Those are all great things that seem to be what people are attracted to me to help them with.
So what is your passion right now? What is your focus? Because for me, I weave in and out and I follow the breadcrumbs of my life and I end up in a place where I didn't know I was going. And it's whoa, mind blown. So,
Yeah, as an acupuncturist, most of us, probably 95% of the acupuncturists in the US anyways, are self-employed, so they don't have retirement plans. This is where my focus, I'll show you where my focus is going. So my
okay.
focus has been trying to help make sure that as I want to slow down to whatever degree I want to slow down with, that I have some kind of income stream. So I've been focusing on that through real estate, which is another hat that I wear. And just before I started with this last project with real estate, I was like, oh, I'm going to start doing more group sessions for anxiety, whether it's performance anxiety, social anxiety, whatever someone wrestles with. I did a couple of sound baths as an assistant to the people doing the sound bath. And this gentleman that's doing sound baths in Golden, he's got all different instruments. I see how people drop in just to relaxing and being more calm during the sound bath. That's prime territory for change. If you want to change something, allowing yourself to be quiet is optimal. So I've got some instruments myself. I'm not a musician, but I've got some that are easy for just the ding stuff that I want to start doing more in a group setting. So that way I can help people make changes quickly for things that don't serve them any longer and they just want to feel differently.
I love me a good sound bath.
You should come to Golden because everyone I've talked to that people that we know that have traveled the world and done sound baths in different places are like, this is the best one ever, just because it's just so eclectic with sounds, the setting is perfect. Some of the coaching that I do with folks, I might say to a person, so if you were to meet the 8-year-old Joni or 13-year-old Joni at a park in a safe environment and things like that, what are some gems that you would
Mhm.
like to share with her?
Mhm.
And about how those gems, what else about those gems could you tell her that when she gets to be 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60, how those gems will have evolved into who you are today? How good
Mhm.
will that feel knowing that she got that information then?
Yeah. By the way, Joni, my 13-year-old or 8-year-old, I've got your back. And life's pretty dang good.
Yeah,
I was lying in the meadow on the ranch here with my daughter, and we were just looking at the sky. And she had turned on her phone. She was recording, and all you could see was the top of our heads and our little knees and our hands. And we're talking, right? You can see that we're having a conversation, but you can't hear it. And I turned to her and I said, sweetheart, if I died today, here's what I would want you to know. Here's how you changed my life. Here's
yeah,
how you brought out the wild. And I went on. It was just like coming out of nowhere. And she's crying. And she got a new phone and it picked up the sound. So she was able to transcribe that. But I think I talked to clients about it. What do you want to say to the people that you love? Go and say it. What are you
yeah,
waiting for?
yeah, yeah.
So sorry, I went off on a tangent there, but you just
No,
reminded me of that.
yeah, no, that's great. That's awesome. And it's beautiful that to have those experiences with people that you love, to know that you've had that experience with your daughter. That's just awesome. That connection for people that love connections with their family.
Yeah.
That's a good
Not
one,
all
Jamie.
family members.
Yeah, and that's a huge one.
Yeah. Okay. So if you were talking to your 5-year-old Greg, what
Yeah.
would you say to him?
I really thought of it. I would tell him that life is going to be okay. It's okay to make choices. It's okay to, yeah, I don't know. It's just okay. I feel, as you were saying, my life is good.
Yeah.
I appreciate, my wife and I frequently talk about, this is good. One, we live in a free country for the most part, without getting
Mhm.
political. We
Mhm.
live in a good place. We have any opportunity that we want to pursue. I'm totally grateful for the experiences I've had. Have I had some crappy ones? Of course.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. But yeah, telling my 5-year-old self that it's okay. Maybe one thing I would probably tell them is give them some tools on how to study. When I was going to school, all the primary school, and even my associate degree, I didn't know how to study. So my confidence in school was not very high. And so when I went to acupuncture school, I still didn't really know how to study. But then I met my wife halfway through the program, and she gave me some tools on how to study differently
Mhm.
than I could have imagined. When it's really changed my perspective on my own abilities to learn things,
Mhm.
which is great. I think if I had learned that a lot earlier, some things would have been easier, maybe different pursuits.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'd tell my 5-year-old self, you're going to go through it, girl. But on the other side, just keep going, keep your heart open, keep going, because on the other side, life is more extraordinary than you can possibly imagine.
Yeah,
Because I have been through it left, right, and center. And
yeah,
just in the last 15 years, and that was what I kind of was alluding to in the beginning of our conversation, is usually there's a hero's journey. There's a dark night of the soul that pushes
sure,
somebody into their full expression of self.
sure.
And if my 5-year-old self had known it was coming, she'd probably go hide in a one of those little fake tents or something for the next
Yeah.
60 years.
16 years ago, what were you beginning to notice in yourself that was opening up to the change?
Well, so I have actually talked about this a little bit on the podcast before, but I had 5 people die back to back, and then there was the recession, and we
Mhm.
lost our house. It was like one thing after another, and then I fell off my horse. I tore my ACL, MCL, and then I fell off my horse again and broke my arm. And then my mother died. I mean, it was like one thing after another. And I began to cave. And I put on a lot of weight, which is one of the reasons I asked you about that. An extraordinary amount, like a whole human,
Mhm.
actually. And so there came a point where I had to say, is this it? Can I live my life, the rest of my life like this? Is this okay? And I thought, I guess I could, but I'm going to choose something different.
Ah, so how
Yeah,
did you know there was a different possibility?
I didn't. I just knew that what was happening in that moment, and I had a child at home, and I wanted to be a role model that I was proud of. And so, and she turned to me one day and she said, "Oh, Mama, just decide to be happy." And went, brain blown. So that was the seed. And then I did acupuncture. I hired a trainer. I did hypnotherapy. I swear I did all this stuff. I did Reiki. It was like a spiritual shotgun. I did everything I possibly could to find me again, to uncover, like you said, the onion peel again.
Mhm.
And I became more than I ever imagined.
Yeah, that's
So
amazing.
yeah. And this podcast was born out of wanting to share the journey and wanting to share the possibility. So
Sure,
that
sure.
was my dark night.
Yeah, it sounded like it was pretty dark.
Yeah.
10,000 gashos, bows, and supplications. There you go. That's the word. To you and your soul for making those choices.
Yeah. And so you might now understand my voraciousness on the pickleball court because Greg and I play pickleball together. That's how we met. And I've never been an athlete in my life.
Mhm.
Not ever. Not till I hit my mid 50s. And it was that,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this
Oh, yeah. Then you are just amazing. I already know you're amazing, but that just
makes
solidifies it
sense.
more. Yeah.
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 So anything else that we didn't cover that you wanted to share with people?
There's a lot.
Okay, good. Go. We still have time.
Now, I think that there are so many resources for everyone out there, and be curious. It's a Ted Lasso line. I like it. Be
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah.
And as you're curious, and as you practice being curious, things will start to fall into place for you, things that you need, things that you want to share in. Yeah, I think it's important to have that openness that this is it. Okay, and this could be a good place for you, but maybe it's not. And so if it's not, then there's probably people out there and resources out there to help
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
different.
Find what works for you.
Yeah, and it's always different. I've had Western medicine for different things through the years. There's certain things I'm not a big fan of just because, but yeah, there's lots of things that are great, Western wise, Eastern wise. So many things are unfolding. I was chatting with a patient the other day. He just had a liver transplant, and he's like, yeah, just some generous soul donated a piece of their liver so that he
Mm,
could have a liver.
wow.
That's an excruciatingly uncomfortable donation. It's not like giving blood. You got to go through surgery and that kind of thing. But he was saying, this guy's also a physician that received the liver. He was saying that there's so many Western advances with stem cell research, regenerative therapy, and they're finding now that with organ transplants and such, that if they get an organ, that if they take the stem cells from that person as well, not all of them obviously, but just some of the stem cells, and they put those in with the transplant, that the healing is 10 times better, that
Wow.
your immunosuppressants requirements are a lot less. So there's just so many advances that things are taking place always.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is
And honestly, I don't give usually Western medicine enough credit because there are extraordinary possibilities that way. Lives are saved every day. We used to have learner education, which taught orthopedists to acupuncturists.
okay.
So he said Western medicine is brilliant in diagnostics, and Eastern medicine is brilliant in its treatment.
Eastern medicine or holistic medicines, there's so many rabbit holes to go down in holistic medicines. Acupuncture is a big category because it falls with acupuncture, Chinese herbs, which are herbal formulas, and there's so many herbal formulas that are beneficial for different things, whether it's headaches or fertility or constipation, diarrhea, all those kinds of things. Then you have massage in Chinese medicine, we call it Tui Na. Meditation is definitely one of the tools in Chinese medicine, which is important. And then meditation, some kind of movement, right?
Mhm.
Chinese medicine,
Qigong.
they call it Tai Chi and Qigong, two different things. One's movement, the other is cultivating the energy inside, cultivating the awareness, really, of what's going on inside. And moxibustion is an herb that we use in Chinese medicine that we burn and we hold it or touch the skin with it. And it's if I had to choose between needles and moxa, that could be a whole podcast. I would take moxa over needles. Moxa is
Really?
so good for so many things when used appropriately, like everything, but it's an herbal heat, is what it is.
So
And so
do you touch the needle with the moxa?
you
Is
can
it?
touch the needles with the moxa. You can do it on the skin
Oh, wow.
directly. You can
Uh-huh.
hold it over the skin like a cigar and just warm up the acupuncture points or the area that you're trying to
Ah,
stimulate. And it does all different things from
yeah.
relieving menstrual cramps, alleviating pink eye, helping with pain,
Wow.
improving white blood cells. That's the Western science that they've
What
shown.
about cupping?
Cupping is great too. That's another tool within Chinese medicine. I've seen people do it anywhere on their body. I've done it on people's faces, backs, for pain, paralysis, Bell's palsy, things like that.
Wow. So what's the science behind that?
The cupping is that it literally lifts the stagnation away from the area where something's not functioning well and allows
Uh-huh.
the good circulation to get underneath it and be,
See, that makes sense.
yeah.
And you look like an octopus afterwards.
You do look like an octopus, high five you for sure.
People are going, what are they talking about?
Yeah,
Yeah, look it
yeah,
up, folks. There are two things. One is I'd like to know where people can find you.
yeah.
And then I have one last question.
Okay, my website is 101prevention.com, and that's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. And then I work at two clinics in the Denver metro area and do home calls, do group sessions. We'll travel for people that need something for me to come to them for, which is
Great,
good.
great. Okay. How do you recommend that our listeners go out and live their most alive lives?
How do you live your most alive life? There's a famous golfer, I think his name is Jack Nicklaus, and this reporter said to him one day, he was like, "Man, Jack, you seem really lucky." And he goes, yeah, the more I practice, the luckier I get.
So go out and practice, folks.
Go out and practice whatever it is you want to do. And if you don't know, then that's the time to pause and allow your unconscious mind reveal itself to you consciously, so then you can put forth the right energy and efforts to take in whatever it is that you need to take in. But pausing can be praying, can be meditating. It's really just about trying to quiet the conscious thinking mind, so that way whatever needs to bubble up to the surface will bubble up to the surface. And if you haven't experienced it, that's where practice comes in.
Wonderful.
And yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you for taking the time and being here. You're amazing. Folks out there, this man has the best energy and just the best attitude. And it's also another reason I wanted you on the podcast. So thank you.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you. Thanks, Joni.
If you found helpful nuggets or inspiration in this episode, please rate, review, subscribe, and share it with somebody you care about. The more we give for the sake of giving, the bigger the difference we can make. And if you're interested in coaching with me, go to wakeupwithjoni.com, click on the Calendly link, and make an appointment. Now, for the most important part, beautiful humans, it's your turn to wake up, go out, and live your most alive lives.